plays that we know they can. And think back to how the game started with Fitz's air dribble, or at least for game number 1, how it started. Vista there, unable to find a touch, looked to try and get a bump on Shark, can't do it. Wimpulse's shot, save made. Shark with a rebound, nearly had it. The cut across was denied as well. Wisp playing smart, playing patient, just barely holding on here. And with 1 minute remaining, still looking for the opening goal of this game. Might have one here, but 2 players biting it and push it wide.
Yeah, and you have to go for that wide shot, but you're running the risk. You're gonna face that far post. It's unfortunately not quite tight enough. Big deflect from VTR. Wiz unable to grab past it. And USC get this out. VTR's got the long pass. This is a good rebound attempt. And the faster that this ball goes, I think right now it's good for USC, but generally it seems the slower pace of play has been better overall for the Trojans, not giving away as much space, but a few seconds to go, some tight moments as well.
Tough spot here, short time remaining. Good block by Vista. Blocked up high. Wisp, do they have the angle? Dropped it down and it's in! Off the back of the defender with 4 seconds to go. Wisp drops the guillotine on him.
Oh my word, just sinking down. Wimpulse looking for some sort of response. And finally, one strong sequence play where USC just turned on the gas for a few moments after what had been such a slow game of bouncing balls and missed touches and a lack of sequencing. Turn around at the last second. So well done. And I mean, this is really a story of just the midfield control for both teams, right? 3 shots for Southern Cal, 5 for Washington State, a far cry from what we were seeing last game.
I really have to commend Wisp for that shot, because that angle is not easy. And the defense doesn't think it's coming through at all, because when you're coming at the ball, you know, from any angle, left to right, right to left, to try and just get your nose on it, that is such a tight pixel to try and hit. And he just barely scrapes it, and it's just enough that that last defender, it's off the backside of his car, but it is such a light touch that you might not even see it in time, especially if you're coming out of the net in that instance, because you're not along the goal line. And that's the difference between an overtime and game 2 going to USC.
Yeah, the tightest of margins. That's the kind of shot you never want to be in net trying to defend it. You need someone on the backboard, and everyone was all ready for Washington State from the initial touch. And that just means we're all tied up 1-1 on the series. And just such a stark contrast between games 1 and 2. We were having really intense passing plays, these high speed bouts in the midfield. And then last game was just a lot of pops, a lot of intentioned attempts, but nothing quite finding the mark. And that last moment, just a light little shot, too much for Wimpulse. As now we're getting into this game number 3, and it's still lots of fighting in the midfield, a lot of east-west action. Not quite able to get too much, but VTR and Vista caught on each other. That's why you don't rotate near post, and Washington State deliver.
They capitalize on the smallest of errors. Like you said, VTR and Vista combine there, bump each other out of the play, and Wimpulse is able to punch home the rebound. So Wazoo go up 1-0. But honestly, I think we're seeing a much more controlled game from USC, because like you said, Washington State loved the speed of the game, and I flash back to what we saw in week 1, where they were able to stretch the field so easily against a different George Washington squad. But here, those deep passes are just not there. There's no real pockets for them to move. USC have done a really good job of making sure that the ball stays, near the hood of their car. Even if it's not a clean challenge, it's not going all the way back in their defensive end, so they don't have to, march the entire distance of the field and give Washington State all this time to react.
Yeah, and there's a nice bit of verticality. Now this is just bouncing. No one can get a touch from Washington. Wiss is going to collect. I mean, this is really just all Fitz has to get that clear. Vista's causing a little chaos, but there's just no answer after the fact.
A rare miss from Fitz there. for Washington State. And yeah, it's just a clear he's got to have. Sometimes that ball, though, it pops off the wall a little bit farther than you'd like, and it's not as easy to react to when you're coming off the wall. It's more of a timing than control. But we'll see if they're able to bounce back from it here. Still plenty of time. 3 minutes remaining. 1 goal apiece. Good pinch to clear this ball out. And Wiss able to steal the corner. So this should lead to some Trojan pressure here. VTR kicks it up high. Looking for a play here, but Fitz, another solid defensive read, using the ceiling to help clear that ball. Yeah,
it's a decent look. There were 2 off for that attempted clear. I like the pinch idea, but it left their back line open when it wasn't quite so strong. That's a light touchdown. Very scary. Wiz with a nice shot. Better patience from Wimples. We're all tied up. We've reached halftime. So far, I've liked what I've seen out of Washington State a little bit more. USC just haven't quite been able to get there. They're 1 goal off of that mistake. But I mean, really speaking to, I think, what we saw a lot in last game, which was these 2 teams fighting for midfield control, and USC recognizing that's how you cut out these super long passing lanes Washington State are so comfortable in.
Yeah. This ball is going to be in an odd spot here in the corner. Fitz just going to prop it up, but VTR, another block. Good steal here on the corner boost from Wimpulse. Looking for a pass in field. Again, popped up. Fitz to reset it. Now a chance on the bounce shot. And Vista, all the time in the world to dive over and make that save. Now looking for another kind of chip towards the far post. Blocked away again. And Washington State, with all this possession, they're trying to amp up the pace here. They've had enough of this kind of slower pace, controlled game that USC have really forced upon them, and they found the space to really generate some chances. Oh, the mix-up from Wimpulse. He hit him with the slow ball near side.
Yeah, I just want to look at this again, right? It's so dangerous with that reset. Witt's trying to play the option, and you just drop it a little bit lower, force a decision, and just react to it. Now Washington State up to that 2-1 scoreline. And we saw like just 1 goal last game, and if USC can really put together one of those sequences again, it was difficult. It took everyone getting involved, and it took, again, a shifting of their pace of play, a willingness to get up, use their verticality, use some of these longer passing lanes they're trying to cut off. As Fitz bailed out by Shark on that last moment. These defensive moments have just been real awkward for that star player for Washington State.
It's really odd to see, too, because normally Fitz is just on lock with those defensive touches, but in these instances, like you said, bailed out by the teammates and could have been dangerous. This could also be a giveaway. Wiss will chip this one just outside. Fitz still gets a touch on it, but VTR is right there. Has a chance from the wall, is denied by Wimpulse with 30 seconds left. USC, they're starting to feel the pressure, and they're starting to march forward.
This is that chance. 20 seconds, some space in the midfield. That pop going to Fitz might be it. Forces this to go all the way back to the USC half, and now it is all Washington State's coverage. Shark with another pop. That's all you need to do here, and actually might just be a goal for the road. 3-1, likely going to be our final score as Washington State answering after losing game 2.
Such an odd play there. That 50 just goes straight up, and Wimpulse kicks it mid, knowing that all he's got to do is beat the last player. And 9 times out of 10, you'd think it's an open net shot, but instead opts for the pass, and it leads to a guaranteed goal for Wazoo. 3-1, they take game 3, and they move themselves to match point.
Good response. Nice statement win from Washington State, getting that last goal. I think that's going to be great for the mentals, and seeing Wimpulse step up this game as well, right? Game 1, a lot of fits. I mean, they had, I believe, every single goal for Washington State in their opener. And now moving on, seeing that team play, and also just the lack of offense coming through. Or not even really the lack of offense. I'm seeing it's 4 shots to 6, pretty close between the teams. Just those opportunities a little sharper for Washington State. And I'm still replaying that moment in my head of VTR and Vista literally rule wanting each other on their own near post. It's moments like that that are so painful, because you know that these guys are just trying to keep up with the pace of play. They're trying to make and race back for the for the ball, and you just get caught with your teammates.
And it's one of those things too where it feels like it's the little things because of that goal. It gives, Washington State a little bit of a buffer. Meanwhile, on the flip side, Fitz whiffs a ball and Shark is just able to dive over and get back into the right spot in time. So Washington State just covering a little bit better. But that's why it's so important, like you mentioned, to not get your wires crossed in these rotations, because occupying the same spot in this game where covering the pitch is one of the biggest things, especially in this type of matchup, is that ball's going to roll dangerously across the gray goal line. Such a key factor. Can't afford too many of those mistakes, as Fitz going to quickly roll that one short side. Doesn't quite go on target. Shark tried to pop that one up to himself for an air dribble. Fitz, don't know if he got a ton of boost here, but he does actually have a whole lot, and he's nearly got the air dribble, and Fitz once again is gonna go coast to coast with it. Does it all by himself. 1-0 Washington State.
Yeah, I think he picked up the canister like on spawn, so we could barely see it go away, and that was enough in the tank. Running it all over, get past the first man in the sky, make it awkward for second and third on the goal line. Great individual play. I think that's another good confidence moment for Fitz, as now the onus is on USC. They got that one very, very tight game and have not been able to do more unless you just force Shark to own goal, Wiz.
I'm not gonna lie, that's probably the best own goal I've ever seen. That was a crazy angle Shark just hit. Like, no defender in the world, I think, would have been ready for that angle, but Shark had it. Unfortunately, that's the wrong net. He's just trying to get back and make that save, so it's a well-placed ball mid. Yeah. Plus, just the fact that USC was kind of swarming there. It was essentially a 3v1 in that instance. The pop shot here is dangerous, and Vista just barely tips it wide. Still could be a chance in front, but Wiss will flick this ball out to midfield. But a goal kind of gifted back for USC is breathing life into this offense.
Yeah, and a very necessary one. I think you wait another minute and that comes a little later. We might not have it being a 1-1 scoreline. It might be a 2-1, might be a 3-1 with how confident Washington State were looking for a little bit. But now we're starting to see USC more willing to go for these bigger clears, and I think that they should have some confidence in their team plan, their passing ability to keep up with Washington State. In game one, still very, very close, even when they were playing that kind of style. So you've got sort of two options. You can try and change the way you play, or you can have that ego. And so far, it seems it's a mix of the two right now for USC, a little more willing to take these longer balls. Now, Wimple's on the wrong side of the play. That was close.
Very, very close. That one's cleared all the way across. Fitz, good pop up there by Shark, just barely avoiding the incoming player. Now Fitz doesn't find the touch here out of the corner, wasn't flushed to the wall. And Wist also unable to really read this corner, which means Shark's got a chance. Double tap, nearly, if he had the flip reset, I think that was in on short side.
I think he did have the reset, and it was like a hair off.
Just barely couldn't pull the trigger in time on it, and USC escaped that scenario. VTR is going to get a clear off the back of it, and nearly another chance, just barely off target. Oh, the drop shot! He ran out of boost, and it fakes everyone out!
He's in their heads! In their heads! VTR misses the empty net, and Vista's like, what if I just don't really hit the ball here? What if I don't go for the double? What if I let it just softly slip off my tires? Oh my word. Just very intelligent play there. I know it doesn't look like much, but there's a very active decision being made in that moment. And it was absolutely the correct one, picking up both defenders, and now you get your lines crossed again, and Fitz is going to take advantage.
Unfortunately here, that double commit puts two in the corner, like you said, and it's just such a harsh kick out. You don't hit the ramping part of the wall. Instead, you hit the side, so it just bounces right down Main Street for Fitz, and he puts a bullet into the back of the net to tie things up with 2 minutes remaining. Fitz is going to get a block here, but Wiss should be able to avoid that. Shark, though, quick to collapse on it, forces Vista up. Does he have a second touch? Until Fitz gets the challenge on him. BTR will just force that to the opposite side and gets the clear, and that's on target. VTR from distance gives USC the lead.
All right, we got the goal from downtown. Yeah, Shark just way too close on that play to make any sort of response. And then, of course, Wimpulse is playing for a clean 50. So that's just Washington State's offense getting a little too tight. Now they're the ones who have to score. A minute and a half to go. We've seen them score pretty quick off the rip. And Wimpulse, decent look. No, it doesn't have the angle, but this Washington State team, they are fighting.
Fitz on the angle. He had the flip reset. He just barely missed it. Fitz now, or sorry, Shark trying to move this ball center. Maybe a chance here short side, denied by Vista. Dribbled and chipped away. Now towards the midfield once more. Shark on the bouncer. Whis with the block. Fitz off the ceiling. Backboard play. Doesn't use the flip till late. It is cleared away for the moment. Shark trying to keep the pressure on, but no ease of control here. Forked away by Whis. Fitz has to go up. VTR is looming. He's looking to get a demo on the backside, but Fitz is marching the other way. And with inside a minute remaining, Washington State are starting to feel the pressure.
Yeah, I want to highlight a little piece of subtlety right there. We saw Fitz just completely bail on that play, go for the boost steal instead, trying to slow down and drain this USC defense, as that was nearly a chance for Washington State once again. VTR gets the challenge. Now it's just 30 seconds to go. You can tell that Washington State, they're looking for ways to make life difficult for USC. But so long as we don't see Vista crossing lines, I think that we're going to be I think USC's in a great spot to take this to a game 5 as another booming clear in just a few seconds to go.
Popped up here. Washington State could be going to another game 5 here unless they find something. The pinch goes all the way across. Ball has to stay up through this corner. Goes off the nose of VTR. Stayed up off the ramp, but there's no one nearby for Wazoo. And it's another game 5 for these two West Coast schools.
What is, like, we're out here, we've got our later evening, and these teams just want to go to 5. Our last game of the day, back-to-back weeks, has just been an absolute banger between teams. For one, speaking to the closeness of this league, but also just speaking to these teams and their ability to really step up. And for Washington, I mean, it felt like they did so much right. There weren't that many offensive opportunities. They were the ones shutting down USC. They had all of the shots, but those quality opportunities that came through were the difference maker, and just a couple mistakes going the Trojans' way.
And as we enter game number 5 here, it's important to remember that Washington State past few weeks, this is now their 3rd game 5 in a row, and they've come up clutch on those game 5s. They've been able to get the job done. USC are coming off of a game 5 loss to Xavier, who I believe Washington State is one of the teams they beat in game 5. So there's that added extra pressure for these two schools. And, you know, coming from the same division, same conference, that added bit of rivalry pressure as well is also going to be noteworthy. But one game to settle it here in week 4 of the EGFC. Demo on the backside, but really odd positioning from the start here for USC. Maybe just not anticipating the angles. Fitz with a pass across to Wimpulse. Can't control it, gets pinched all the way back. Is this on target? It is. Fitz forced to make a save.
I was having flashbacks. Couple misses, and Fitz very comfortable on that one. Not going to see another quit today, I don't think. But USC, I mean, the long ball gave them the game winner in game number in the last one. So I think that's going to be where we're looking for those different moments where if they can sneak one past the Washington State midfield, moments where USC are able to crunch up the Cougars. And I think it's a real chance. Now Vista got a good look. That one's on, down, bounce around. Vista opens the door for USC.
What a shot here. What a great pass from VTR, and Vista wins the race against Wimpulse. But like you said, the drop down angle was perfect because it's so hard to play that soft under the defender. Can't hit it too hard off the backboard. Instead, just able to tuck it underneath the crossbar and let it do the work. And all of a sudden, the Trojans are up 1-0.
And this is not what you want to see if you're a Washington State fan right away. I mean, we know that they can answer back, and they've done so plenty of times already this series, but this looks like a renewed confidence for USC, as they're happy to just take one side of the field, stretch it all the way up, and make this Washington State defense be used to a coast-to-coast approach.
Punched back into the gray half once more. Fitz is here with possession. Flips once though, so Vista will intercept. Wimpulse knocks it forward. Now the chase down. Through the corner. Doesn't find any contact. Shark will send it up. Wimpulse, them on the backside, but USC defense holding here with 3 minutes remaining. Shark from the wall, trying to chip this ball forward, but Wiss again on the block. Another long ball in, but these kind of dump and chase routines from Washington State aren't finding all that much ground. Good flick here to clear this ball out, but USC's defense, they've got a read on the play right now. This one could be dangerous. Wimples doesn't find a touch, and VTR will find the cleanup. 2-0 USC.
Yeah, and this whole play starts where Shark's trying to get it downfield. Instead, it's just a flat touch. Fitz has no way of following it up, and then you just got Wimples, who is trying to play this reactive third, ready to strike down the field, and is now caught in a spot where you're not expecting a couple Trojan cars to be running right at you. And this is, I think, the first time USC's held a 2-goal lead in this series. So difficult territory for Washington State, and Trojans, I think, going to be very happy to finally have that sort of insurance backup with the extra goal.
Especially crossing the halfway marker here. Washington State needs something. They are gonna find it here. Wimpulse does it by themselves from the corner here. Just two players up, they pick off the pass. That extra touch was everything, and Vista just unable to get back in time.
Yeah, and you see that full commit coming through from VTR, and as you said, that subtle little touch from Wimpulse making all the difference, clearing it away. There was nobody else back. They needed that clear for the Trojans to make it on out. Now fast play, more pressure. This is a Washington State team that is not going down easy, as this is going to not be collected by Shark. That could have been a bigger mistake, as this is still some Trojan possession, and a very, very dangerous. Shark doesn't find it. Wimpulse is awkward. Is that going to be another own goal? This series barely popped out, and Shark gets the clearance. But back-to-back moments where Washington State just struggling on their own goal line.
For a defense that's been so stout, there have been a handful of unforced errors, it feels like, that have cost them this series, and it's given USC a chance. And now the clock has to be accounted for here, as that's a good save by Wimpulse. The Trojans are moving forward here. Wimpulse again up for it. Vista to pop it away. Shark is still up. Now Fitz will take it from him on the handoff. Wimpulse on the shot. Diving back was Wiss. He'll get the save instead, and VTR will clear it away. Just over a minute remaining, and USC hold the lead.
And this boomer ball does nothing but play into USC. Those long clears, these contested bouncing balls, that's just more and more time off the clock. I'm sure USC are aware that that's their game plan. They're playing so much possession, not even looking for shots sometimes when they're in their offensive third. But a little speed from Fitz is the X factor for Washington State, as we're all tied up.
The burst, I mean, Vista seems like a decent air dribble. Fitz again, it's like a handoff, just takes it from him, and the little pop-up with so much speed gets way over top of the third man for USC, goes right on target, and just like that, we've equalized at 2 apiece.
Now the momentum's firmly shifted towards Washington State. I think so long as we don't see a pass into Wiss, it's gonna be fine. Just slow the ball down here, Fitz. Play it to the left side. There's a man right behind you. And that is heartbreaking for Washington State.
I mean, that's just one that Wiss, he's just sticking a hand out there just in case. It's just a check, just to see if you're ready. And Fitz, I'm not even sure if he saw him, because of the way that camera works. I mean, with ball cam, you're still chasing it. He does really have, he can't really play it to the left there, but still, it is a giveaway that it could cost them here unless they find something. 10 seconds now. Roller underneath. Wimpulse with the dribble to get by. All the defenders are out. Trying to hustle back. VTR looking for Wisp, trying to keep this up. Vista is there. The block comes through, and Southern California is going to take Game 5.
And that breaks Washington State's win streak as well. What a game from both of these teams. And so unfortunate for Fitz to go from hero to zero back to back. You get the game tying goal, and then one missed clear right into the waiting wheels of Wiz, and it falls apart. Such a tragic moment, because I was ready for that to just be an overtime where these teams are throwing everything at each other.
It's just such a weird, it was a very odd series, very unconventional, right? Because we're used to Washington State just amping up the pace, going for those stretch passes, throwing everything at the net, almost like we saw from the start of the day from Delaware, where they just pile on shot after shot, but they just seemingly couldn't sustain any offense. And USC, who also is typically pretty good at combining on passing plays, didn't have a whole ton of them. There was a lot of, like you said, own goals from Washington State gifted to them, but also a lot of their plays were just, capitalizing on the small errors defensively from a team that normally their defense is pretty solid on. But it's one that USC will gladly take, is that is a massive win for them to bounce back after that Game 5 reverse sweep from Xavier, for them to get this victory over a conference rival of theirs. That is a huge step forward for this team.
Yeah, absolutely massive win for the Trojans. And we are going to get to hear from inside the team. The game winner, Wiss, is going to be joining us after a very quick break. Welcome back, as we are joined by Wisconsin from University of Southern California. How are you feeling after that win, especially to grab it off of one clear that you're able to just dunk on in?
It's very, very adrenaline filled right now. I was praying, that dunk, I was kind of just praying. I jumped just because I could. There is, as much as I'd like to say, wow, I calculated that so well, I just prayed.
Well, I would mean, it was, we were kind of commenting on it too, just the ability to get your hand out there and read those. Those always feel good when you connect on them. So congratulations on getting that Game 5 winner. This is a battle between two of the westernmost schools in the EGFC. So can you kind of speak, I guess, to the conference rivalry? Because, it's two teams that are a little bit newer to EGFC, but schools that are very familiar with each other.
Personally, I know that our main rival, of course, being USC, is UCLA. But I see, typically in ranked, I see a lot of the Washington State guys a lot. So it's always fun getting to match. It was fun getting to match up with them here. And I know Vista recognized all three of the names as well immediately when we joined, and we were fiending for the win.
And USC, after joining last year, there were a couple different roster changes here and there, and now you have slotted in very well onto this roster. But what are the expectations for you guys moving forward? Because this is a school that's always been, very close to competing and getting the win over one of these top tier teams. How does it feel to knock off a team that was undefeated previously?
They were undefeated.
They were 3-0 headed into this week.
Oh, crazy. I don't know what to say. We just, last week we had a bit of a off series, so we were also hoping to be 3-0 after today, but hey, we bounced back. We're looking to claim, trying to grind back up to the top spot and try to end the season as #1.
Yeah, and you guys certainly showed very, very strong team. But I do want to speak to just one of the pieces that I've seen from you guys is there's some moments where it feels you guys get panicked on defense, and you will see a little crossing of players on the same line. Is that just a product of being in such a difficult matchup and just the intensity of some of these games?
It's hard to say. I feel like it just happens a bit, no matter what the opponent is. It just kind of happens. We're trying to iron that out. We've ironed out the offensive rotations. Now just trying to bring it back on the defensive ones as well.
It's great to hear. And of course, win isn't just from you and the players on the pitch. If there's anyone you'd like to shout out for today's dub, here's your chance.
Shout out Zach for watching the game today. Big shout out. Thank you for watching the interview as well. Shout out to the teammates for pulling out a great win.
Lovely to hear. It's always a treat to get to watch the USC squad rolling up here. Thanks so much for joining us, Wiss.
Of course. Thank you very much.
And Soy, I think that marks the end of the evening for us.
Yeah, I mean, that's the end of week 4 for EGF Rocket League. So we're a quarter of the way through the season. We're halfway through the fall split, and it's interesting to see these kind of storylines emerge, right? Some of these teams, I will have to go through and see the standings at the end of the week to see who's still at the top. But USC getting this win, I think, was massive for them, and some really high potential for a lot of these squads.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting, and I'm just looking forward to the rest of this split, the rest of this season. But that's it from us tonight. J Turbo and Soy Sauce signing off. Huge shout out to Aeon running the production in the background. Huge shout out to you guys for supporting college esports. Thanks so much for watching, and have a wonderful night.